Thank you so much for going into this, for giving me an interview. You know, I've been a fan of your works for, I think, 5 years already, since I've been living here.
Roughly, yes.
Yes. And because your story has always fascinated me, I really want to share it with others also. Can you maybe tell us how you came to this, to painting? What is your story? Because I know that you've been working on a very serious job before, and you started pretty late, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I used to work in administration, let's call it like that. So in an office, a real office job before, and to have a compensation for that quite straight work, I started painting in my free time.
Okay.
And
How old were you at that time?
I was 35, I would say.
Okay.
So quite late compared to others. But I attended a weekend workshop, and there I discovered that I like painting.
And you started with watercolors at once?
Directly with watercolors, yes.
Okay.
Which was easy to do because watercolors are not the most expensive. You can put the box back into your bag and you take them out a couple of weeks later, so you don't have to take care of the colors themselves. They don't dry up, and you can use them for years.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm wondering right now, why did you stay by watercolors when you're so far away? What is the passion behind watercolors?
Because the colors of the watercolors are unique, I would say. I give classes on watercolors, and there I always explain what is the special thing about watercolors. And watercolors are transparent colors, and they are very colorful. And you put them on paper, and the paper is reflecting, in fact, the colors later. So they look different than acrylics or oil color.
Yeah.
And the unique thing about watercolors is that you can do so many different things with watercolors. Not only my art, what you see, what I do. There are plenty of different things you can do with watercolors. So
yeah, so far now you can work with wet style, then you can make like.
That is what all watercolor artists use. They paint dry technique or wet technique, both. But what I mean is you can paint realistic, like photorealistic.
Yes.
You can paint abstract or my style, what I call a modern watercolor.
Modern watercolor. Yeah. Why modern?
Modern because it's not. It's open for new things. I use new techniques as well and new media. So not only watercolor. Sometimes you find liquid acrylic color in my painting.
Do you mean like on these drops? What are these? Like the white
you
drops?
have, for example, here this white.
Yes.
Which is forbidden in the classic watercolor painting. So don't tell the police, the art police. No, I use them on very specific spots, I would say, so not to cover up a whole painting, and it brings more life in a painting. And you see as well that I use a lot of drops, and I'm splittering around with the color, and that makes it more lively. And in the end, a painting is created. However, I cannot explain it all the time how it's done, but during the process I use different techniques like dry technique, wet technique, different media, not only this acrylic but as well pencils and other things.
I just noticed on this picture that this part, it looks really like photorealistic. It's like glass scherben.
Yeah, but that's
I understand. I see that but it's just what I personally love about watercolors. I do like a little bit myself. That they play like die spielen mit, that they also take their part. Sometimes you don't know that how they're going to work out there, and they also make an input.
Exactly, and then you discovered one of the secrets of watercolors. What I explain in my workshops is that you have to let watercolors paint themselves. That is what I call painting themselves, the watercolor. Yes. You put the color on the paper and you have to keep it alone. And then the color will start working and mingle between the different colors. Yeah. And while trying up these effects, they are created.
Yes, I remember when I think I was 3, I was going to an art school for like very small ones. And my favorite task was that we had a sheet of paper. We had to paint watercolors, but we had to like choose either warm or cold. Mm-hmm. And then we put it together, mm-hmm. let it a little bit dry, then would open, and there would be like a very bizarre picture, yeah. And we would have to look at it and see what we see there, and then draw over it like a line what we see there, and
create something out of these spots.
Yes, so it gave us the direction. Yeah. No, we gave the direction. It did all the work, and then we say, okay,
yeah,
I accept it. Yeah. Yes, it's a great one. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move to some practical questions that might help our creative viewers in their lives. So what were some of early struggles of working as a painter, and how did you manage to go through it, to walk past through it?
Yeah, as explained, I used to have a normal office white-collar job. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And during that time, I used all my free time, so in the evening, on weekends, and holidays, to paint. Yeah. So each holiday I went out, I took my stuff, my brushes, colors, paper, and if there was a possibility, I sat down and I painted. So that is, it developed to become a passion for myself. Mm-hmm. And when I switched into retirement, now I'm retired, yay. Fortunately. So I have my income from there, mm-hmm. and I questioned myself if I do more than just painting during my free time, mm-hmm. which I had plenty of, but I opened then my atelier here in Konz. Yeah. I rented it, and I had a nice place to do my art myself. Yeah. And I extended it to give classes, to show my watercolors here, and I explored as well other techniques where I now have the space here. I have roughly 100 square meters, which is a very convenient place, I have to say. Yeah. I'm happy about, and so I can follow my passion, mm-hmm. and I can share my passion with others, and that is a good thing about.
And like you're doing masterclasses, I know that. I wonder what is the profit, except of the money side, of masterclasses for you personally as an artist? Do you also learn during those masterclasses what that gives to you?
Yeah, it helps me myself to develop my art. You know, sharing what I know, mm-hmm. and to formulate what I learned about watercolors helps me to become more conscious about what I do. Mm-hmm. And that is one point. On the other side, I give classes in the evening where I have some painters which come here. They follow their own style. I see what they do, and from there I learn as well. Yeah, so it's not only it's not only one direction. It's both, and as well the social contact I have. So I'm not sitting here on my island and doing my work. But I invite others to share, and that is a good thing about,
But as far as I know, I'm not sure, but as far as I know, that all the pictures normally go into the nature, to the spot, and you paint there, right?
In most cases, cases. Fortunately, I have now my atelier here, so in an atelier I can paint when it's 40 degrees outside, or when it's
Yes.
10 degrees outside, and
Or it's
when
raining.
it's raining. Yeah, exactly. And that is a good thing about that. So I'm more independent. But my biggest pleasure is really to go to the spot in front, sitting in front of the motif and painting plein air. And then I sit there for 2, 3, 4 hours. And that is really pleasure for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, but you're spending this time mostly alone, like in a solitude.
Yeah, some of my students, they ask if they can join me, and from time to time I offer the possibility to join me there. And of course I have then to look around and what they do, and I give advice.
Okay.
Or I organize travels. This year I went to the Netherlands, to the area of Den Haag, and next year...
I saw the pictures.
Yeah, and next year probably to Mallorca, 1 week in end of April. So, and then some students will join me there, and we travel around and we sit in front of the motifs, paint there, which is quite fun, I have to say.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so what does a day in your studio look like?
Yeah, I ask that question myself quite often, because you know, it sounds like I'm painting all the time, but in reality I would estimate that I do 20 to 30% of my time here I do art, and the rest I do everything. It's a one-man show here for myself. I decorate, I clean up, I have to organize things, I prepare the workshops, I do a lot of paperwork here.
You have paperwork?
I have paperwork, of course.
Really?
Bookkeeping and these kind of things. So it's quite a lot of things to do, what nobody sees from the outside, but that has to be done. And if I'm lucky, I find a day where I can say, okay, today I
only paint. Yes.
And then I take out all my things I want to paint. I have to think about the motive and how I start with. And okay, in the end, I never know if the painting is finally that what I was aiming for, but
you aim for something.
Yeah, of course.
So what is this creative process? You said, like, where do I start? How do you, like, you just come, you think about the place, then you come there, and then what can you tell about that?
Yeah, I have to find an inspiration in the motif. That is the first thing. So not, let's say I paint a motif from Trier. Not each motif attracts me. So I try to find one which attracts me, and then if I sit in front of the motif, I need to find a spot to sit down. So it's not always possible. So all the preparatory work takes time. Then sitting down, painting, that is the most easy thing, I would say.
Really?
The process, yes. Because I don't need to think anymore. I sit down and paint. That is the fun.
And have you ever experienced this blank page fear, you know, when you have a white
never.
page? How do you start this thing? How do you choose the color? What you don't think about this. You just
I take the brush, I look at what I want to paint,
yes,
and try to find a spot where the things will fit into. Maybe I do a pre-drawing. I don't do to organize things on the painting itself, and then I start with putting the color on the paper. The big pieces first, and later the smaller. And with watercolor, you have always to be aware of the wet parts of your painting. Yeah. And as I paint quite big, so that is what we call in German a Bogen. It's 56 times 76 centimeter, so that is the standard format for paper on the paper mills, and that is a Bogen, and then painting on that, it's the size is big enough that it can dry up in the one corner while I'm painting in the other, and then I go through the painting and always find an area which is quite at the point to be done.
Okay. Yeah. But have you ever had this, okay, not the blank page fear, but some breaks in your creative life where you just didn't want to?
Yeah.
Yes. And how
it's up and down everywhere. And with the creative work, it's as well. You have periods where you feel everything is going easily, and you don't need to do a big effort to do a step forward.
A flow state.
Exactly. And then at a certain point, you feel like blocked, and things, the result, what you expect, is not what you finally get.
And how do you get through that?
You motivate yourself. I'm quite old now, and I know that things are not always going fluently. So
you just keep on doing.
Yeah.
And one day it starts flowing.
Maybe I switch to another thing, to another project, and I do linotype.
Yes, I just wanted to mention.
do monotypes as well, and I switch to something else, do that, and come back to the watercolor, for example.
That sounds very familiar to me, because sometimes music doesn't flow, then I start painting, and then
No, but that's a very normal experience as a creative person. You have periods where you feel stuck, and things are the result you receive is not really not what you expect, and you are unhappy with the results, and demotivated, maybe frustrated, but then do something different, give it some time, and it will
get how do you say ripe?
Yeah, it will ripe.
Ripe. Yes. Just another question about the style of yours. Your style, has it evolved through the years, and how can you reflect on that, maybe?
The style, what I call the modern watercolor style, developed, of course. I didn't start like that. I started as a very beginner, trying to put color on the paper and try to find a style. I explored a lot of different things, and then I attended courses with different artists. To give some names, one is Bernhard Vogel, an artist from Salzburg. Another one is Eckhard Funk, or Martin. How is it called? Doesn't matter. He's from Speyer. Martin Lutz. So he's from Speyer, and so I attended different courses, different classes. Each one of them is painting a bit like my style, but I took from them some techniques, some advice, some way of painting, and then I created my own set of toolbox, I would say. So there I collected certain tools, and then I started to develop my own style over the years. And I still have to work on the style, so it's not finished yet. So it's something.
Will it ever be? I wonder.
No, it will never stop. It will never stop.
Yes.
Even with watercolor, the nice thing is you buy one new color, and you put it into your box, into your palette, and it will change your way of painting completely.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. It's the same with music. When you get a new instrument.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a new game.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're coming to a more material world. I have several questions to you. So many artists struggle to market their work. How do you market yourself? How do you market yourself?
Yeah, I market myself on my website. So that is one of the main channels where I inform people about my work. Yeah. I have, of course, here my atelier, where I have 2 nice big windows where I can show my art. Yeah. And I know from visitors that they drive along, they have to wait here in front of my shop to for the traffic lights to turn green again. So then they watch my art, and
Genius
it's good marketing, I have to say. And then they pop in and they tell me, I always wanted to see how it's inside, and then they come in and they have a look, and so it's a website, it's my windows.
I'm pretty sure your calendars too.
Yeah,
because if they hang in someone's apartment, everybody asks, wow, where did you get that from?
And social channels, social media
you also use that.
Facebook a little bit, and Instagram. So I could spend more time on that, but no, I'm not really interested to have more customers here. It's fine. I'm happy with how things are going for the moment, and it takes a lot of time to be present on all the social media channels.
That's true. Yeah. I know that a lot of artists mostly rely on social media.
Yeah.
Where as a photographer, I found that actually websites, they are most effective. Well, there you have the freedom to express yourself the way you want, to write anything you want without any algorithm, without any rules, and you structure everything the way you like. Whereas in Instagram, what I recently also heard, how the algorithms work, they might not even show your work to your followers if they haven't liked you enough previous times. So it controls completely I think it has nothing to do with artistic freedom also.
And then I have a newsletter of about a little bit more than 400 people, which I send.
A little bit more about that. 400 people. It's half of
but it developed over the years, so it's nothing you have from one day to the other. I do that the website already since 15 or 20 years. And even while working, I was creating my art, selling my art. You mentioned the calendar. So I do a yearly calendar, which is now, I think I started in 2000 or 2005 with the calendar. So it has quite a history. And the people who buy it, they always come back, or most of them, they come back, they buy it again. And I know as well from other people that they see the art somewhere and they question themselves who is the artist, and then they suddenly show up here.
Yeah. And do you participate in any external exhibitions?
Yeah, I'm at the same time the chairman of an association in Trier, which is called KUK, so Kultur- und Kunstverein Trier.
Okay.
It's a
culture and art.
Exactly. Yes, it's without. So it's a what we call in German eingetragener Verein with Gemeinnützigkeit. So it's without the aim to create profit.
Yes.
Yeah, and that club organizes exhibitions where I attend as well, if possible. I'm a member in the Deutsche Aquarellgesellschaft, which is the Watercolor Society of Germany. There, from time to time, I participate in exhibitions which are organized in other countries. So I was as well present in Dublin, in Bilbao, in other places.
Where is Bilbao? Where is it?
Pardon?
Bilbao
is in Spain.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then they collect a number of paintings, send it there, they are shown, or the German Aquarellgesellschaft, they send it then there, and then the host is organizing an exhibition, and that is where I show my art a little bit further away. Yeah.
So this membership in these Gesellschaften, it brings something,
Yeah, it brings as well exchange with other artists. So it doesn't mean you have directly customers or something, but I would say a certain level of reputation. So if you're a member in such an association, you might receive a certain reputation and not be considered as a you're not anymore the hobby artists. Let's call it like that. So you have to be involved in certain of these associations too.
But actually, you evoke a question in me. Where is the border of being a hobby artist and a professional artist?
That is a good question. I know a lot of artists who feel like hobby artists and are afraid to become really professional artists. The border is somewhere, nobody knows exactly. I think it depends on yourself. It's an inner, I would say, inner motivation. If you are convinced of what you are doing and you do it with a lot of effort, with energy, and you put yourself into your art, and then
become destined.
Then you are a professional artist. And of course, an artist is always questioning him or herself. So you will never say what I do is worth to be shown in Louvre or somewhere. No, you will say, is it good enough? That is always the question you ask yourself. Because you want to become better. And so on.
But do you know artists who are very sure of the works? Do you know because I personally I know Dali, but he was the only one who I've heard of that.
Take Gerhard Richter, for example. He's an artist who I'm pretty sure he does his art and he is convinced of what he does is a good piece of art. So anyway, the success he has is giving him right, so he does not need to question himself. So if you are somewhere doing the art, you start doing the art for yourself in the first place. And at a certain point, you show your art to others. And of course, it becomes more and more that you go to the outside, that you show what you do, and at a certain point you reach a point where your art is public, and then
you question yourself. If it's worth.
Not only then, before as well. Before
you bring it.
But then you are a professional artist, in my opinion. It doesn't mean you have to live from what you do. You can do it beside other activities, and the most artists I know who are considered to be professional artists, they do something else beside their art to make their living.
It's great you saying that, because I used to, I don't have this idea anymore, but I had it that I should just give up on everything I'm doing, just go into one direction, because then it's going to put pressure. But right now I also realize that if you get this money pressure, then you don't have really that creative freedom, because you start to commercialize too much. You really want to eat, and you think, okay, people will like that. Exactly. I will paint that because they like it. So
you have to. I think it swaps at a certain point when you do your art and you feel the income from your art is big enough that you can make your living from. Then you give up the other activities. But you cannot, in my opinion, you cannot really do a swap from one situation or one to the other. From one day to the other, it will not. You have to build up a certain reputation or a certain environment where you are sure you make your money with your art, and then you will see it works or it will not work. It is quite simple as that. And it's, of course, there are so many artists around, and the pressure is high, and therefore a lot of artists they try to be on the market to make their money, and the more you have, the less good income is for them.
Okay. Okay. We have several more questions. Which advice would you give to someone hesitating to pursue their artistic passion? Because there are people who feel like they're missing something, but first they have no idea, and then they think, oh, this is stupid, I better just work more, I better just, I don't know, people are happy because they travel, so I should also travel. What would you advise to those people who are thinking of going into art but are hesitant?
Yeah, I'm convinced each human being has a certain creativity inside. All children start drawing, painting, and then they go to school and someone tells them that's not good, or the other one is doing better, or they get marks for their art, what they do, and they even don't think about it's art, they just do it because it's fun. Yeah. And then as a grown-up, as an adult, you are in your job, you do your job and all these things. And I have a lot of people who come to my classes, and I feel they start being creative during my courses, and they feel better. And art is not only a mean to express yourself, it's as well a mean to become aware of certain things, and it's used in therapy as well.
Yes, I had my previous guest was Veronica, she's an art therapist.
Yeah.
So and I personally did several sessions with her, and it's amazing what the results are.
So I don't do therapy here in my classes, but I know that people feel better when they do it. And in my opinion, it's really something which a human being needs, a way to express creativity. And I always tell them, you don't need to paint nice paintings. Do whatever you like to do. If it's black on black or white on white, whatever. If you feel you can express yourself, it's fine. Yeah. And not each person needs to become finally a professional artist. If you do art, I remember my mother, she was sitting there, she was not doing art, but she was sitting there and knitting. She had a period of several years, she was knitting all the day, or the evening she was working, but in the evening she was sitting there knitting, and that was a way to think, to express and to do things, and she was creating very nice things during that time. And if it's knitting, or if it's painting, or if it's drawing, whatever, it's a way to express oneself. That is.
But it's also the series is called Brave to be Creative, but it also requires being a little bit brave and vulnerable.
Of course.
I believe.
Yeah. If you show things what you paint, if you are here, others will see what you paint, of course, and you expose yourself. And that is always a moment where you feel that others value or disvalue what you do. Yeah. And it might hurt you if you get a feedback, or it might build you up. Yeah. So you never know what is, but in the end, people who do art, they feel much better in the end, I have to say. That is what I get as a feedback from the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, but ich stimme zu.
Yeah.
From my personal experience, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming plans as an artist?
The next plans are to organize my trip to Mallorca next year. Yeah. To develop further what I do here. Sometimes I feel, I mentioned that already before, sometimes you feel stuck in what you're doing, so I try to find other media which I can use in my watercolor art, or combine with watercolor. I still wonder if I can combine a linotype with watercolor or other, which is not so easy, so I have not found out yet, but exploring things like that, it's fun. And painting as well, finding new motives which give me inspiration and so on. That is what are my plans. Yeah.
Great.
So.
Thank you so much. It was a very useful interview. And
thank you for having me and
having you in your studio.
Yeah, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So I'm gonna put all the links to follow the Christian's work online, and just come by and get inspired. Thank you very much. We see each other the next month. Bye bye.
Bye.